Hello guys, welcome back. Hope you all are very well and good. So, as discussed in our previous online class, we'll be starting a new chapter which is organisms and population. That's from chapter 10 and unit 5. So, before we get to know more about this chapter, we'll just see the outline what we will be learning from this chapter as well as the basics terminology that you must know before we get so deep into the lesson. Let's start the lesson. So, from this lesson, we'll be learning organisms and its different environment and its habitat, simply where they live, and the abiotic component or factors that contribute in the survivability of most of the organisms, and also we'll be seeing what is biome and their distribution throughout the entire planet, and how organisms respond to abiotic factors and increase their survivability by adapting to the environment, as well as their populations, different types of populations. And we'll be seeing the population attributes like the density of an organism, the particular group of animal. We'll be learning the migration, immigration, and all these things we'll be learning in population attributes, and population age distribution, growth model or curves, and population regulation. Finally, we'll be finishing up with the population interactions. So from this video, we'll be learning the very basic things and basic terminology that you must know, as I told you earlier. So we'll be proceeding that with now. So what is ecology? So the word ecology, you must have really bumped upon it many times when you were studying biodiversity and its conservation. Remember, we finished that chapter, biodiversity and its conservation. We also got to learn many things from the chapter. So anyway, since we are beginning again, we'll be learning the basics again. So what is ecology? Ecology, it's a Greek word, and it in simple, eco means oikos, which means an house, and logos, logi, we can say that logos, which means study. So you guys know what is logos already, right? Logos means simply study of something. So in here, in ecology, we'll be studying the habitat, the environmental house of all organisms, and how it actually interact with the physical environment, the surrounding environment, and the functional process like predation and digestion and other process that takes place in the environmental or in a habitat. So, and also we'll be studying what functional process makes the all organism to live in that region or particular area. That is what we call habitable. Remember in our previous chapter, in biodiversity and its conservation, we learned what about the habitat destruction, right? If particular, say for example, we saw with the forest, so when the forest density has been reduced, it leads to the uninhabitation of other organisms. So you mean, which means like other organisms cannot go and inhabit in that region, right? So we read all these things in our previous chapter. So I maybe you must be still confusing what is this ecology word still means. So for your better understanding, I have brought up many definitions. So don't get confused. Ecology in simple, you will be studying about all living organism and its environment in simple. So different people have given different definition for ecology. So anyways, we'll just get to know about all these terminologies as well as definition which is given by different people. So the scientific study of the process influencing the distribution and abundance of organisms, the interaction among organisms, and the interaction between organisms, and the transformation and flux of energy and matter. So overall, they're simply trying to convey the distribution and abundance of all organisms and how it interact with each other. Say for example, deer will be predated by the lions, and deer will go and feed on the plants. So how it interacts with each other, and how energy is being converged or transferred from the one part of the food chain and to the another trophic level. So likewise, we'll be studying about the population, all these things in ecology. And we'll also be, and this is another definition which is given by another person, the study of the relationship between organisms and environment. And one more definition which is given by Andrew Wartha and Birch in 1954, he says that it considers ecology to be the study of the distribution and abundance of organisms. So in all this definition, you can clearly see all of them are trying to convey that we'll be studying about the animal's abundance and its distribution and how it interacts with each other as well as to its surrounding environment. So that is what we are going to study in ecology. And organisms and population in this chapter will be studying about different factors which I outlined in the previous slide. So in overall, collectively, we can say that ecology is like we study about, it includes all different level of organisms, population, community, ecosystem, and so on. It just keeps going on. And this is also one of the definition which is given by Odom 1977. It simply says that study of the ecosystem is known as ecology. So remember what is ecosystem. Anyways, we'll be seeing all these things one by one in our next slide. So collectively, we got to know what is the ecology, right? In simple, ecology means you just study about the all living things and how they interact with each other at the same time its surrounding environment. That includes all the abiotic factors and the biotic factors too. So I told you in ecology it includes a study about different level of organisms, populations, community, and ecosystem, and it just keeps going on. Remember, so we'll just see what is population in terms of ecology. Okay. So in ecology, the definition that is given for population, a group of people, is broadened to include groups of individuals of any one kind of organisms. Say for example, we human or a population. So we humans, all humans comes under human population. As of now, till 2020, the total population of humans around the world is around 7.35 billion. So, likewise, in a particular forest or a region, at a given time, the number of or the count of particular group of animal or organism, we can call it as population. And what is a community? So community means in a given time or a given area, you will have different types of animals. In population, remember, in population only particular group of individuals of any one kind, which means if you have a elephant, so this population you can just count it and tell or report it. Okay. So when it comes to community, it means animals that live together in a particular forest or a region at a given time and a given area. That is what we call community. You can see here that elephants, zebras, and lion, tigers, all these collectively live in a particular forest. Then we can say that as a biotic community. Okay, so biotic means living thing. So now you understood what is biotic community and what is a community, right? So then what is an ecosystem? So this you must have been really familiar with that, because I have told you this multiple times in my online class as well as in my previous chapter learning. Remember? So ecosystem is a place where biotic community, which means all biological things, that includes all living things, plants, animals, all different kinds of animals and everything, will just interact with each other with non-living things, otherwise we call them as abiotic things. Remember, so this is what we call ecosystem. I have just given you a picture here. You can see a pond here. Here the animals and plants, they depend on non-living things. So the animals and plants can be called biotic community. So you have a different group of animals here. And the non abiotic factors or component you can call sun and the air and the water and the soil. All these things you can call it as abiotic component. So you can also see in this picture we all live together and interact with each other as a group of people, as a community. At the same time, we depend on abiotic factors like this: the sun, rains, and water, and else, like what else? You have air, and all these things we call it as abiotic. So these abiotic components as well as the biotic community, we all together interact and live in harmony, right? So this is what we call ecosystem. I hope you guys know, must have understood by now what is a community, what does population simply mean, and what is ecosystem. If you still have any doubts, please contact me without hesitation. So, and one more important terminology that we must know before we proceed into this chapter is biome. So, what are biomes? So, let's see the definition. Biome is a term in wide use for a large regional or subcontinental system characterized by a major vegetation type. Or else simply we can say it's a community of plants and animals that have a common characteristics for the environment they exist in. So you must be really confused. What is this? Two definition is stating two different things. Okay, so in that first definition, it states that it is a wide use for large regional or subcontinental system characterized by a major vegetation type. So it does not contain only the vegetation alone. It also contains the community of plants and animals that have a common characteristic for the environment they exist in. So remember, what is a community? Previously explained to you, community means in a community, a biotic community, you will have more than one or two different kinds of plants and animals live together. So that is what we call biotic community. Remember? So biomes are vast and wide regions. Say for example, we have many biomes around the planet. Okay, so let me tell you clearly how we can easily understand what is biome. So, as I told you, the biome in a biome, plants and animals will have a common characteristic for the environment they exist in. So remember, in our previous class, we learned that latitudinal and longitudinal gradient, right? So it has similar connection with that. So as you move towards the polar, you can see the variation in the temperature. So the polar regions and temperate regions, the temperature is little bit, not little bit, too, I mean, vast variation in the temperature, right? So you can find different types of animals living in there. Okay. So what one thing that you can commonly find in a biome, say for example in a we have a desert biome. So don't think that desert does not have any life form. It has a lot of plants and a lot of animals which has adapted to survive in that extreme condition. So this complete desert environment, with complete desert, we can call it as a desert biome. So what common characteristic that you can find it in the plants and animals, they have adapted themselves to avoid the waste of water, right? Transpirate in plants you cannot find transpiration. For in order to prevent transpiration, they have a thick coating layer which actually prevent their water to be water loss, right? And also animals also have perfectly camouflaged to live in the sand, and you will not be able to find differentiate you will not be able to differentiate between the sand and the desert snake. It will look similar to each other so that it can prey upon other animals. Likewise, if you go to polar region, you can find the animals like polar bear or the seals all will have a thick layers upon their bodies to protect its body temperature. Say, for example, the polar bear is completely covered with fur, and the seals and all other aquatic animals have thick blubber that actually protects its body temperature. And also in tundra forest, as in temperate broadleaf forest and all, you can find a few group of plants, but that plants alone, the structure of the plant's leaf, you can see it is very sharp. Almost all plants will exhibit the similar kind of structure, that to prevent again protect itself from the extreme environmental condition. So biome is a very vast wide area. Say for example you have the entire forest, we can call it as a forest biome, or sorry, the entire desert, we can call it as a desert biome. And in this desert you will have n number of habitats, different kind of habitats will be there. So all animals and plants will have a common characteristics to survive in that environmental condition. So that is why these biomes are self-sufficient. So what do I mean by self-sufficient? Look at this tropical rainforest, it is a biome, and here these forests does not rely on other environment or other thing for its self-regulation. So here plants leaves will be withering out every year, and the withered leaf will be decomposed by bacteria, and it will convert into nutrients and provide nutrients to the soil. Again, the plants will utilize the soil nutrients and grow back. Likewise, in this biomes, all biomes are self-sufficient and self-regulating and self-supporting. It does not have to rely or depend on any other external things. And that is why this vast major regional or subcontinental system are known as ecosphere. So it actually interacts with each and other, and make a big part of the earth system. So I hope you guys understood what is biome, and if you still have any doubts, please don't hesitate to contact me. Take care, guys.